On a gray and silent morning, Ilkley Moor, a town nestled in a mountainous region of West Yorkshire, England, awoke beneath a thick blanket of fog where every contour of the landscape blurred into shadows and ancient secrets. The area, renowned for its vast expanses and the legends that echo through its hills and valleys, seemed suspended in time, as if it held memories of distant eras and mysteries that defied logic. In this land of rural beauty, where Ilkley's Victorian architecture melded with lush nature, a startling episode was about to transform the routine of an ordinary man into a tale that would be remembered as one of the most intriguing encounters with the inexplicable. Philip Spencer, here a pseudonym, an ex-policeman with a skeptical gaze and a restless heart, had always harbored a passion for photography and the unknown. Originally from London, but now living in Keighley, he frequently ventured along the trails of Ilkley Moor, seeking to capture the essence of this mysterious land. On a particularly frigid December morning in 1980, he rose before dawn, carrying his trusty camera and a compass that accompanied him on every journey. His goal was simple: to photograph the sunrise while traversing a little explored route that would soon lead him to confront the inexplicable. The trail wound through dense rows of trees and crossed streams shrouded in curtains of mist, preserving the silence of a time that seemed to have stood still. Philip, with his keen eye and the patience of a chronicler devoted to truth, moved carefully, attuned to every detail the landscape offered. The biting cold and thick fog made the journey challenging, yet they also lent the place an irresistible air of mystery, as if each step unveiled secrets of ancient civilizations that once inhabited the soil. Traces of the Mesolithic period, the ancient Romans with their Aulic fortress, and the thermal springs that evoked legendary tales, all composed a scene that seemed lifted from a book of extraordinary stories. As he walked an unconventional shortcut, a path some deemed risky, but which, for Philip, represented the route where truth lay hidden, the dense fog seemed to toy with his perception. The sun, which he hoped would rise and illuminate the landscape, remained shy behind a veil of vapor, casting effects of light and shadow that turned even the most ordinary path into a trail of illusions. It was in this atmosphere, charged with symbolism, where the real and the imaginary intertwined, that Philip had his first direct encounter with the extraordinary. Gradually, the morning silence was broken by a subtle, almost imperceptible movement. As he walked, his attentive gaze caught a figure emerging from the dimness, a creature of short stature, roughly 4 feet tall, whose initial appearance resembled a child's prank, but soon revealed itself as something far more enigmatic. Its skin, a dark green hue, contrasted with the natural tones of the surroundings. Its large, almond-shaped black eyes seemed to carry a glint of intelligence, or perhaps a silent warning. There were no typical human features: the disproportionate head, arms that stretched nearly to the ground with long, slender fingers, and uniquely shaped feet were signs of something existing beyond the bounds of ordinary explanation. Philip's heart raced. For a fleeting moment, time seemed to slow, each second stretching into a suspended breath between fear and curiosity. In an instinctive act, he raised his camera and fired the flash. The bright light briefly illuminated the scene, revealing startling details of the being, which momentarily stared at him with a mix of curiosity and an odd form of caution. But the flash, as if it had disrupted the natural order of that encounter, caused the creature to dart away, vanishing back into the fog that had swallowed it. Yet, for Philip, reality did not settle even for an instant. After the initial shock, he realized he wasn't alone. Soon, as if the universe itself sought to deepen the mystery, a colossal object began to take shape in the distance. From the shadows emerged a metallic structure of enigmatic proportions, a disc composed of two stacked sections, the upper one narrower and the lower bending into a shape reminiscent of an inverted mushroom. The object's surface gleamed with a soft, almost ghostly glow, while a low, steady hum reverberated through the area. Before he could fully grasp what he was witnessing, the object accelerated at high speed, shooting into the sky and disappearing as swiftly as it had appeared, leaving behind a trail of questions and the sensation of having glimpsed the impossible. Philip's journey, which had begun with the promise of a simple sunrise photograph, had morphed into a labyrinth of disjointed and inexplicable events. As he resumed the trail, he noticed that his compass, a reliable tool on countless expeditions, was behaving strangely. The needle, which always pointed north, now insisted on directing him south. It was as if an unknown magnetic force had inverted the rules of space, creating a path where time and space had warped. The anguish of not fully understanding what he had experienced mingled with an urgent need to find an explanation. Any explanation that could rationalize the numbers and measures of an encounter that seemed to transcend the natural. Veering from his original plan, which had been to reach his father-in-law's house, Philip chose a different course. His intuition, that inner voice urging him to unravel hidden secrets, led him to the nearest town, just minutes away, where time seemed to have stretched oddly. Upon arriving, the clock read 10 a.m., an inexplicable 2-hour delay from the expected 8 a.m. finish for a journey that typically took less time. This time, discrepancy deepened the mystery, turning every moment of that trek into a piece of an unsolvable puzzle. In the town, Philip's account took on even greater intensity when he decided to develop the images captured on that singular morning. The photograph, though marked by the graininess typical of cameras of the era and affected by the interference of the dense fog, carried the unmistakable signature of the inexplicable. Several analyses were conducted by experts spanning the fields of photography and physics. A renowned wildlife photographer categorically stated that the image did not correspond to any known animal or natural phenomenon. In laboratories, the photograph underwent rigorous testing, and even digital processing by American specialists failed to dispel the aura of mystery surrounding that scene. However, the episode did not end with the visual evidence recorded by the camera. The days that followed brought reports of internal changes in Philip himself. The man, previously portrayed as a skeptical and resilient observer, began experiencing vivid and disturbing dreams where scenes of another world intertwined with fragments of his reality. The unease that gripped him led him to seek support in the fields of psychology and paranormal investigation. Under the guidance of UFO researchers and enthusiasts of the inexplicable, Philip opted to undergo regressive hypnosis, hoping to recover memories that daily life seemed to have erased. During the hypnosis session, conducted by a renowned professional, Philip's dormant memory began to surface with astonishing detail. In a deep trance, he revealed that, after his brief encounter with the creature, he was overcome by a sensation of magnetic paralysis. Suddenly, as if in a feverish dream, he found himself being led by the same entity that had earlier darted into the fog shadows, as if floating. His feet no longer touched the ground, and a subtle yet undeniable force seemed to draw him toward a massive object that now revealed itself as the stage for a singular event. Inside this object, the environment was entirely different from the cold, misty landscape of Ilkley Moor. Circular corridors and rooms with mysterious lighting composed the interior of what seemed to be a craft or some kind of vehicle that defied known conventions. Amid this surreal atmosphere, Philip was examined by humanoid beings whose greenish complexion and unmistakable features set them apart from any earthly creature. They did not use words. Communication occurred through gestures and gazes that conveyed both science and compassion. In one such interaction, Philip felt they were reading not only his physical form, but also his emotions and memories, recording every detail of his existence. During his brief stay in that enigmatic place, he was guided on a silent tour, during which images projected onto smooth walls told stories of an apocalyptic future and, simultaneously, of remote eras. What he saw were scenes blending explosions, floods, and devastating famine, alongside the outlines of a second narrative whose content remained hidden, sealed by a mystery that seemed to belong to dimensions beyond our comprehension. Under hypnosis, even when pressed to reveal more details, Philip maintained a respectful silence, as if he understood that some truths were not meant to be fully shared with the world. When he awoke from that deep trance, he found himself back on the Ilkley Moor Trail, with no clear recollection of how much time had passed. What lingered in his memory was a sense of having been embraced by a parallel reality, where time flowed in an unknown way, and the encounter with the impossible left an indelible mark on his soul. The photograph, that tangible and enigmatic proof, became the link between his account and the disbelief of others. Experts and the curious began discussing the case, attempting to fit the evidence that defied logic into a coherent puzzle, though no definitive conclusion was reached. Philip's story quickly gained notoriety in the UK's UFO investigation circles. Among journalists and enthusiasts, names like Nick Pope became associated with the tale, placing it on lists of the most intriguing encounters with the unknown. The incident, oscillating between the extraordinary and the inexplicable, sparked heated debates, dividing opinions between skeptics and those who believed in something beyond the limits of human understanding. Even decades later, Ilkley Moor remains a stage for curious events. Modern reports, spanning from April 20th to April 24, indicate that residents and visitors continue to witness sightings of floating lights and strange phenomena that defy normalcy. Its proximity to significant air bases like Menwith Hill and its connection to Leeds Bradford Airport are often cited as factors that might contribute to, or at least influence, the occurrence of these mysterious events. Another curiosity is that 7 years before this case, an intriguing incident occurred in Todmorden, a nearby town located 18 miles from Ilkley Moor. In 1980, the case involved another policeman, Alan Godfrey, who, while responding to a call, encountered a diamond-shaped flying object. By the way, we've already shared this story on Alien Cases. The video link can be found in the first pinned comment and in the description. Philip Spencer's story, blending reality and fiction, science and mysticism, inspires not only paranormal enthusiasts, but also those who, like him, seek answers to the imponderable. His journey, which began with a simple desire to capture a sunrise, transformed into an encounter that transcended the boundaries of the known, revealing that the world may be far vaster and more surprising than we imagine. After all, not all mysteries resolve easily. Some remain as perpetual invitations to gaze at the sky with new eyes, wondering if, behind the fog and shadows, a truth awaits unveiling. As twilight approaches and night settles over Ilkley Moor, the sense that something is ever present, watching, waiting, perhaps merely signaling, grows stronger. Those who pass along that trail, even fleetingly, cannot help but feel a shiver run down their spine, as if fate has left its signature on every stone, every winding curve of the path. Philip Spencer's story echoes through the cold winds and winter leaves, reminding all that somewhere between the known and the unknown, there are encounters that can forever alter how we perceive the world. And so, amid legends of giants, lights dancing in the night, and the unshakable certainty that the impossible can indeed materialize, Ilkley Moor endures as a sanctuary of enigmas, a land where each step on the trail is a new page in a narrative that transcends time, where one man's courage becomes a mirror to all the questions humanity carries about what lies beyond. If something truly inhabits those moments of silence and fog, Philip Spencer's story will stand as living proof that, at times, truth reveals itself so intensely and inexplicably that it defies any attempt at categorization. At the end of this journey, the observer is invited to reflect. Are we truly alone in this vast universe, or does the impossible lurk silently along some deserted trail, in some forgotten corner of time, awaiting the right moment to reveal itself? The mystery of Ilkley Moor, with its interwoven tales of past and present, continues to challenge our imagination and urge us to seek always the truth behind the veil of reality.